Hey everybody, it's Peggy Hasenauer from the Kovler Diabetes Center. Coming to you from my front porch. We have done several interviews over the last few weeks that I think many of you have appreciated. We have a guest with us today who is a former doc from the University of Chicago, who's now on the East Coast, Dr. Matthew Corcoran. How are you?
Peggy, I'm great. Thank you for having me. It's great to talk with you.
We're just thrilled to have you here and to, learn a little bit more about your practice as you've left U of C and moved on, and what you have also grown in terms of your own interest in diabetes and exercise. When you were in Chicago, you and I partnered together with the American Diabetes Association and with an organization at the time called the Diabetes Exercise and Sports Association.
Right.
And since you've left Chicago, which is probably coming up on maybe, I don't know, maybe 15 years, I'm guessing, you've really grown that interest of yours. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about the work you're doing, where you're at now, and how you've been able to grow that passion for diabetes and exercise.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, well, it all started. So it all started in Chicago during my time at University of Chicago, working in the diabetes program there with the likes of Dr. Phillipson and learning from that team of amazing minds, and just recognizing the void that existed between the clinical worlds of the exercise sciences and diabetes care, I just saw that void and really began working with many recreational athletes in the Chicagoland area in the early 2000s, and it just opened up my eyes to all the potential of the opportunity to help serve this community of people who really were longing and after a resource that could help them live the life they want to live and do what they want to do in the face of diabetes.
Sure. And tell me, you are in a group or a practice of adult endocrinologists now, or how has your practice evolved or developed now that you're in New Jersey? Is that correct?
Yes, I'm in the southern part of the state, down by the beaches of South Jersey, and yeah, I work. I'm almost really entirely clinical. I work for a a smaller community-based healthcare system. We have a physicians group associated with the healthcare system, and sort of in the trenches, if you will, providing diabetes care and education to the community. The community here, which has just been fabulous, and then I also started and run Diabetes Training Camp Foundation, which is our mission is to empower the community of people with diabetes to thrive, and we do so by providing very unique destination camps and programs for adults living with type 1 diabetes, and now we ventured into providing weekend boot camps for teen athletes and their parents with type 1 diabetes, and we've started to do some type 2 programming recently as well. So it's an exciting time for our foundation.
Well, that's fantastic. And I remembered when you started working in this arena, there were so many, primarily triathletes and so many marathoners in Chicago, that your earliest research and clinical work was around continuous glucose monitoring and really understanding how these athletes do over a long period of time when they're really working strenuously in a longer range sport, right? So they're running for 26 miles. How are they doing? I think that what's amazing about the diabetes training camp is that you've moved the model into a nonprofit organization, and frankly, there really isn't anything like it. Can you point to, or do you know of another organization that's similar? Because to be honest with you, in the Midwest, I don't.
There aren't many, if any, that are doing what we're doing in the States.
That's great. That's great to hear, because you really then have, I think, founded something that's incredibly special that I think we need to bring to more athletes in the Midwest to help them understand that the camps and the programs and the services that you provide not only help adults, but help college athletes, amateur athletes, as well as high school athletes. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. And I appreciate you saying that. It is, I have a biased opinion, right? But it is a special place. And that's what we continually hear from the people who come, and are a part of our community. We've put together, camps that have served probably 600 to 700 campers at this point from
Wow.
40 states and 8 or 9 different countries. So we're truly seen as a unique resource and a destination for people to come and learn and train with the team of experts that I'm in awe of the team that I have and have the chance to work with. They're really incredible, and they get it, so they really get the needs of our community and can serve them well. So it is a special place, and people refer to it as a really life-changing experience, and I think they mean it when they say it. You know what I mean? It's not something they say lightly.
Sure. So how do you support or help a patient perhaps who's new to your practice, who either is newly diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, or maybe has had type 1 for a number of years? Maybe they're on a pump and they say, I'd really enjoy being outside more, and I'd like to consider riding a centurion, right? So riding 100 miles, or I'd like to consider doing a half marathon. What advice can you give those perhaps people who are at home right now who are thinking, what, actually, I could start training for something? What are your thoughts, or what do you tell your own patients who are just getting started?
It's a great question, Peggy. And, I think the most important thing when you meet somebody the first time, all the time, but especially in the type 1 space, is to just listen to them and hear their story. So I don't, I think sometimes this catches people off guard, but, if I'm going to spend 45 minutes or an hour with somebody on a first visit, I really don't care to hear too much about their glucose data. And I don't mean that offensively to them. I know how important that is to them, but I really feel like I need to hear their story, what their life is like, the life they want to live, etc., and really get to know them at least on some level, that I can begin helping them. And when they share that story, they often share little cues to, where their successes are and what the challenges they've had in developing or optimizing their exercise and fitness programs.
Mm-hmm.
So, even in that initial encounter, and even for your community out there in Chicago who's looking for some simple advice, I'd say there are a few common challenges that we find over and over again with our, it doesn't even matter what level they are, beginning fitness folks to more advanced athletes. There are a few points that we really continually hone in on. So if somebody's on insulin therapy, as you all know, there's many different types of insulins out there, long-acting, or what we call basal insulins, and the rapid-acting mealtime insulins. The number one impact we can have is if we can get the rapid-acting insulins out of the mix. So we can really generate or remove a lot of the chaos and flux if we can get people operating, exercising, training during times where they're just on their long-acting insulin. In other words, don't try to do this an hour and a half after you take a meal bolus. It's just going to create a lot of flux. Let's figure out times where you really got your long-acting insulin supplying the insulin that's oh so necessary, but doesn't create the flux that you get with these rapid-acting insulins.
That's a great point. I was thinking about what you just said, that it's not often that you're discouraging them from going out and training for a marathon. But first of all, let's figure out who you are, where you're from, what your perspective is, why you think you need to do this, because in some cases, oftentimes we talk ourselves into things that we don't really need to do, right? But
Right.
We need to think about training safely and taking our insulin and thinking about exercise in the context of everything else you're doing in the day. So I'm guilty of this myself, where I go out and go hard and then end up injuring myself, right? And then I'm back to square one. But for someone with type 1 diabetes, to your point, if they take their insulin and they've had a meal and now they're going out, is it the right time, right? Have we balanced their insulin and their meal time with the time that they're exercising? Because we don't want them to get into trouble, right? You don't want somebody to go low while they're out running.
Yeah, that's right. And they're trying to live their life, and I get that. So there's planned exercise and training sessions, and there's spontaneous. There's the, oh yeah, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and this is the half hour that I have, right? So,
Totally.
this is all I have. So The other thing, we spend a lot of time teaching people on is, and really coaching them. That's what we do. We really coach people, right? We're trying to empower them, but is that the management plan, your sports or fitness strategy is just going to be different depending on what you know about the insulin that you have on board, what insulin it is, et cetera. So we're trying to train and educate them as athletes, regardless of their fitness level. We believe there's an athlete in everybody. Lou Phillipson is still contesting that a little bit, but so
He'll be thrilled to know that you said that, and he will go, I concur. I concur.
But we believe there's an athlete in everyone, right? So we're trying to teach them the physiology of the athlete, and then, oh yeah, they have these tools. They have the very tools in their hands to manipulate their own fuel metabolism. And it's a huge challenge, but it's also a huge opportunity. They can manipulate their own fuel metabolism in a way.
Yeah, that's true. So as you're planning for the summer, right, we're all trying to plan. We're all trying to figure out not only what camps we can go to as adults or what freedom we have as adults, but really we're most worried about our children right now and what is next for them, not only this summer, but in the fall. How are you morphing or changing diabetes training camp to accommodate athletes if you're not going to be able to meet in person? So what has the planning been like with you and your wife and the team?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, my wife Jody, thanks for that shout out. She helps me run the foundation, and she would contest that she doesn't help me run the foundation. She runs the foundation and does an amazing job of it with some help from Sharon Levin, some great help. But this, I mean, it's just a strange time for all of us, right? And so we've already had to postpone a couple of our camps, which is hard. But I think this has helped us realize that we have to pivot. Like so many people are thinking about how are we going to pivot and how are we going to serve our communities, whatever we do. And it's giving us an opportunity to meet them in this space, like you're doing live, and create a safe place. That's what we do on the ground when we run a camp, is we create a safe place for people to come and share and learn and talk. And so that's what we're doing. We're moving it into the virtual space.
Okay.
And about 6 or 7 weeks ago, we have this central space at our camps that we call the hub. It's just sort of the central gathering place for our camp. So we created a virtual community hub for our community that meets every Wednesday night. We're meeting tonight at 8 p.m. And we have about a 60 to 90 minute program where we talk about, sometimes we talk about COVID-19 and its impact on diabetes, but that's not all we talk about. We have our own experts, and we have experts from outside DTC who join us and share their expertise. And it's usually themed along the lines of, well, what are we going to do to get through this pandemic? So tonight, one of our sports nutritionists is doing a session on, nutrition principles when our activities are cut down during a pandemic. A couple of weeks ago, we had Kate Hall on. She's an aspiring Olympic athlete with type 1 diabetes who's preparing to compete now next year in the long jump. She's a 2-time national NCAA champion in the long jump with type 1 diabetes. She's awesome. If you want to follow an athlete with T1D on Twitter, look up or whatever the other social media thing is.
We'll start. And this is part of that process, is really us getting the word out about things that maybe people don't know about. So this is fantastic.
Kate Hall's an amazing athlete with type 1. We had a chef on. We're looking forward to having some other experts in the diabetes space join us in our virtual community hub. And, listen, you have some of them at University of Chicago right there. So I'd love to connect up with the team there and invite them to be part of our hub in the coming weeks or months. So we've got that going, and it's been fabulous. Each Wednesday we've had about 70 to 100 people come online with us and just spend some time together. And you can see how powerful I mean, you all know, and you all know out there at University of Chicago how powerful the diabetes community is and how powerful they are for each other. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And I think what's so interesting though is that folks who are at home right now, not only are they interested in itching to get out and maybe run a little bit and move a little bit, they're interested in connecting in different ways than they have before. So if our patients, or perhaps those who are watching this video, want to learn more about DTC or be a part of the hub, or maybe learn about your next camp, do they go to your website? Is there some sort of a membership, if you will? What does it take to sort of be part of this group for people who are interested in athletics and have type 1 or type 2?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Our website is diabetestrainingcamp.com, and that's the foundation website and where most of the information is. We do have a Facebook page by the same name, Diabetes Training Camp, on Facebook, and that really gives good insight into our community and who the people are. But if they go to the website and just go to diabetestrainingcamp.com and submit for more information, they can get on our mailing list. So I told you, we've got the virtual community hub going. We're going to start online programming to do for 2020. And I don't suggest that, oh, we're going to recreate a camp virtually. We can't do that, but I still think we can do some pretty innovative stuff online that can reach more people. And we can follow our motto of train, learn, connect. So we'll offer education, we'll offer community, we'll do some fitness training sessions virtually. Where the first one we do of that will be in June, when we're supposed to be having a camp. That's not all on the web yet, but that will be up there soon. So we'd love to have your community take a look at that. And
That would be fantastic. I'm thinking about all of these patients who started with us when Dr. Phillipson began seeing some pediatric patients about 10 to 12 years ago, and opened up a second day of clinic because I was pushing him to do so people didn't have to wait 6 months to see him. And what's interesting is those kids that were, 6, 7, 8, who were seeing him in the beginning are now really amazing young adults who are athletes, who are excelling in varsity sports, who are even playing all divisions of athletics at the collegiate level.
it's
And
awesome,
I
isn't
think,
it?
yeah, and it's like really cool to see. In particular, Dr. Phillipson has had a patient over the years who's been really successful in baseball. We've worked with some athletes who've even been at the professional level, and they have different tricks and different things that they do that I think is valuable for people to hear about. So I think this was the purpose
Absolutely.
really of this, this call today with you, was to really sort of learn about what's going on in the diabetes community and give our patients and our friends of Kovler more resources, which is what people are really looking for right now. And frankly, as I said, Dr. Corcoran, there really isn't anything like what you have and what you're describing in the Midwest. And so we would be honored to share information about Diabetes Training Camp and get more people engaged and involved, because it's a fantastic organization.
Thank you, Peggy, and thank you for thinking of us when you share this. And I know your time is short, but we are very excited about launching our teen boot camp over the last few years, and
That's cool. That's going to serve our patients well.
it's been really, it's a 3-day boot camp where we bring the teen athlete in with at least one parent, and are able to educate and work with both of those target audiences together and separately in the same camp. And it's just been remarkable. And I think that it's very unique for that population. And we tell them, look, this is a sports camp because a lot of the teens, as you know, they're not eager to be at a diabetes camp sometimes.
You got it.
We said, this is a sports camp. You have diabetes, so we're going to teach you how to manage that as an athlete, but this is a performance camp for you to get to the level you want to go to. It's very exciting. It's unique. I'd love to, partner with you guys on it in Chicago, and listen, hopefully, if things go the right way, we'll bring it to Chicago.
That would be amazing. I'm thinking about so many people on campus, amazing D3 athletes we've got on campus, some wonderful swimmers and some trainers that are currently at the Ratner Center that I think would be very interested. So more to come, Dr. Corcoran. We plan on doing a part two with you and your wife, if you don't mind, and you could bring those cute kids with you and put them on camera. I would love it. And we just can't thank you enough. It's been so cool to see how you've grown and changed in your own profession and career since you've left Chicago.
Peggy, thanks for having me, and it's great to talk with you. You all stay safe and well, and look, it all started during my days at University of Chicago, and I'm so thankful for that. I learned so much there, and it helped generate my thoughts on where I wanted to go with all of this. So that's where it started, and I'm so appreciative and respectful of that.
Well, you bring to mind how important it is that people forget that at Kovler and certainly at the University of Chicago in the section of endocrinology, we really are trying to train tomorrow's leaders. We really are. That's what our fellowships are for, and we're glad that you are a shining example of that. And we plan on connecting other fellows with you down the road as they look for career opportunities. So I know you could always use more camp counselors and more
we have
people.
We have a volunteer medical staff who rises to the occasion for our camps, and I think it's a great training ground for the fellows out there. It's a great idea, and I'd love to bring them into the mix. It's great.
Fantastic. Well, all the best to you and your family, and we'll be in touch for part two. Many thanks, Dr. Corcoran. Great
Peggy,
seeing you.
thanks. Stay safe. Stay
Thanks,
well.
everybody. All right.